We ready? Rock and roll. Okay. Good evening. Welcome to our Monday, February 23rd, 2026 school board meeting. Thank you for hanging in there with us. We are rolling from another meeting, coming right on track. So we came in hot, as I call it. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty, can I get a call to order and roll call?
Mrs. Alkire.
Here.
Mrs. D'Angelo Steele.
Here.
Dr. Dillon. Mrs. Liskini.
Here.
Mrs. Peterson.
Here. We're now going to move to the adoption of the agenda. I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add a condolence of a staff member.
Do you want a second? Second, D'Angelo Steele.
Roll call.
Mrs. D'Angelo Steele.
Yes.
Mrs. Alkire.
Yes.
Mrs. Liskini.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes. Now moving along to approval of the meeting minutes for our last meeting. This is actually approval for meeting minutes for the February 2nd, 2026 and the February 9th, 2026 meetings. Can I get a motion?
So moved, Liskini.
Can I get a second?
Second, Alkire.
Any discussion for the meeting minutes?
We've done a lot this month. It's one of the shortest months. We've done a lot this month.
One snow day turned into 20 meetings. Hearing none, roll call.
Mrs. Liskini.
Yes.
Mrs. Alkire.
Yes.
Mrs. D'Angelo Steele.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes. All righty, moving along, we're going to go to presentations and we're going to do the school spotlight for Stiles Elementary with Mr. Dan Peters.
Too low.
Good evening, Board. President Peterson, Vice President Liskini, members of the Board, Mr. Banks, Mr. Garside. It's my pleasure to be here to talk about Stiles Elementary. A few of the staff members are here, and I appreciate them coming. Without our SWIA members and OPSI members, none of this would have been possible, so thank you. The biggest thing is academics. Our Momentum Award that we earned last year was huge. I'm a big proponent of winning, and when you see growth like that our students, with the help of the teachers and the staff, that's winning. Our focus on literacy comprehension with our CIP and our math fluency have led to that growth, a unified focus on that. Our knowledge building weeks, when we introduced those to the district, our teachers just grabbed onto those and really exposed our students to more more science and social studies. A former social studies teacher myself, that just made my teacher heart grow a little bit there, and I love that. And our PD, the last, I think, 3 years, we've done a summer PD with our math and literacy coach with over 95% of our teachers in attendance, coming in over the summertime and getting ready for the school year, especially with the new curriculum with HMH. That's been huge for getting their classrooms ready and just growing their knowledge base. And then parent and community engagement is really the lifeblood of our school. We have a great community over at Stiles. Our partnerships, we have a second step coordinator that works with all classrooms in our school, partnering with places like Second and Seven. Feed the Kids Columbus has been a new one for us. The ladies out of Dublin that work in that organization is amazing. We volunteered there as a whole school last summer, and that was really powerful to see the impact of going there and putting a little sweat equity into what we end up giving back to our students. Our engagement nights, this year we did a Stiles Home Depot night We partner with the local Home Depot, and the young lady there from Home Depot is actually a Styles graduate. She remembered the teacher. She was able to name a few by name, some that are actually in the crowd tonight. So it was really sweet to see her, and she said, I had to come and volunteer when I knew it was going to be Styles. It meant so much to her. Our Wildcat of the Month has grown every single year that we've had it. Our parents, I think we have 100% participation every single month, getting the parents with the students to spend a little time together, and then they get to hear the awesome things that their teachers say about them. And it's probably one of my favorite days at Styles. Our PTA has been booming the last couple years. We've done doing a spring carnival. And one of the hallmarks of Styles is our multicultural celebration that we do. The TESOL team at Styles does amazing things. Please come out in May and check it out. I'll make sure an invitation goes out to everyone. It's really beautiful to see the kids talk about where they're from, what's important to them, and give us a little bit of the taste of their culture. And then working with our students, our care team at Styles is second to none. We have a great group there. We partner with Buckeye Ranch and Directions for Youth to help those kids that might need a little extra. And it's really made a difference. We're really approaching helping the whole child at Styles, and they're a big part of that, along with our PBIS program at our school, celebrating those good things that kids are doing. And there's been so much growth over the last 5 years. And our school theme this year is You Matter, because we wanted to make sure that whether you're a student, a teacher, a parent, grandparent, aunt, and uncle, when you walk through those doors, you are important to all of us. And that starts with our academics. That starts with being at school. The people dressed as superheroes are some attendance success monitors from throughout the district that came out to encourage students to come to school. And, you know, one of the things that's very important to the team at Styles is that our staff knows how much we care about them. They are the lifeblood. They're on the front lines. They're working hard every single day. So we try to do something every month. Myself and the literacy coaches come together and just make sure that they feel cared for in any little way that we can help them out. So that is Styles. So many good things. Probably could have added a few more slides, but I think you get a nice taste. So do you have any questions for me?
Any questions?
I do.
Yeah,
Thank you for being here.
Of course.
You guys are doing amazing work at Styles.
thank you.
I just wanted to ask you your academic growth and how you think that correlates to your professional development engagement. That number is amazing that you had 95%.
I think the fact,
participation.
no, it's a great question. The fact that the teachers really dive into our professional development at Styles is a testament to the instruction that our coaches give. They're so engaging. They are able to work with the teachers one-on-one or in a large group, and the teachers are hungry for it. Like I had to tell them, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this summer PD. They're like, please find a way to do it. Like, we really want to make sure that we can get in, we can work with the coaches. And the beauty for me is that that's a time of the year where I have more time, so I can be in on those meetings, and then that grows my knowledge. So I'm learning along with the teachers, which really helps me support them when they have questions or I'm doing an observation. So it's been really huge for everyone.
Great. Good work.
Yeah. Thank you for coming out this evening.
All right.
Super exciting. I remember Styles when it was a different building. It was the first place I had basketball practice way back when. And it's just really great to see how it's grown and what you've done over there. So I'm really glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you.
And I forget, how long have you been here now?
This is my fifth
Has it
school
been 5
year with
years already?
Styles. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for all you're doing over there.
thank you. It's great, and definitely a great
and
team.
the crew.
They're awesome.
Thanks.
I'm always excited when I hear the PTA is engaging, growing, and because I remember when Styles, when my originally startup involvement, and it was itty bitty, and it would just go through a fluctuation. So it's really exciting to see a lot of these buildings fast forward years later, like their parent growth in that area. So
Yeah, it's been very exciting, and all it does is help the kids. So that's
Yeah.
what makes it even better.
yep.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Okay. Moving along, now we are going to move to Mr. Hugh Garside so that he can present the 5-year forecast and financial update.
President Peterson, Vice President Liskini, members of the board, It's my pleasure to be able to provide an update on the five-year forecast that was last presented in October. Before we just stay on this slide for a minute, I want to talk a little bit about some of the changes that happened in the biennial budget process, about the submission of the five-year forecast. Currently, I'm saying five-year forecast, but it's been changed to a three-year forecast. I will continue to present a five-year forecast, but what I will provide to the state is what is required, and that'll be a three-year forecast. So if you see the first three years of our forecast, that'll be exactly the same as what you'll see on the webpage at the ODE. So just want to point that out, that I will continue to call it a five-year forecast, but the new requirement is a three-year forecast. I presented last on this in October, and the general timelines of these were October and May. That's what it's been consistently for a long time. Those will be moving to August and February, so we'll no longer have an October and May submission, we'll have an August and a February submission. I think it's appropriate, though, that I will do those required in August and February, but I'll also do one in May, because that really links up with the next school year that's coming up. If I do one in May, then we'll use those. What you'll see there is the new budget that we have prepared for the next fiscal year, and everything will mesh up perfectly if I continue on that same process. So this February update, there's a lot of information that we don't know. Tax bills went out very late this year, as you know. 50% of our revenue comes from, or 37% of our revenue comes from property taxes. So it's a pretty large chunk of our money that we get. So not having good facts and figures to use in February, I think it's a good time to just do some education about the five-year forecast. So I have prepared one. It will get submitted. But what I'm going to talk about now is just a little bit about the overall aspect of the five-year forecast. So you can go to slide 1 now. Slide 1, I've used this slide before. What it shows is it shows the revenues, expenditures, and the cash balance. This looks very similar to the one that I just did in October. What you can see in the green are the revenue bars, and in the yellow or the gold is the expenditures, and then that line moving downward is our cash balance. I will say that our forecast is conservative in nature. Hopefully, we perform better than what is up there, but I'd never want to be in a position where I'm telling you, hey, I thought we were going to be here with our cash balance, but we're really here. I don't think any of us want to be in that position. So hopefully we perform a little bit better. But what I will point out is we have, and I've stated this before, but I'm going to state it again, we began deficit spending last fiscal year. We are currently showing about a $11 million cash deficit as far as deficit spending in fiscal year 2026. If you look out throughout the five-year forecast, we have around I talk a lot about having a targeted cash balance of 3 to 6 months of cash. We are in that we are in that spot from fiscal year 26 through 2028. So we're in, I wouldn't say we're in great shape, but we are treading water up to that point. Remember, our last operating levy was in 2009. That was a 7.4 mil general operating levy. At that time, we used the slogan, promises made, promises kept, and we promised we'd be off the ballot until 2013. So we're quite a bit past that. And if you look in the landscape in Franklin County and even in the state of Ohio, there's a lot of districts that have been on the ballot for operating dollars. And those things are never a pleasant thing to bring up, but it's time that we start talking about that a bit. I will also note that when I did the forecast, when we closed out the fiscal year last year, fiscal year 2025, there was some in the biennial budget where they had a provision where cash balances of a certain amount, if they were in the general fund, they could be taken away. We did move some funds to a capital projects fund. So that money is still in the capital projects fund. If need be, it could be moved back. But again, the real key that we need to focus on is that we are deficit spending. So I'm going to talk about some of the remedies to that in these next few slides. So moving forward to the next slide. What are the issues? Why are we here? So fair school funding, state foundation funding, the money we get from the state accounts for about 50% of our revenues. We have decreasing revenues, but 50% of those come from the state. So it's a big chunk of our overall operating budget is state foundation, and that is decreasing. The fair school funding plan was put in place first in the biennial budget that started in July of 2021. It was then, the next phase-in went to 2023, and this last phase-in just happened in 2025. I believe the formula is a sound formula, but there's some things that are problematic with what was done in the biennial budget process. There's something called a base cost, and if you can see on the screen here, the base cost in fiscal 25 was $8,163, and you go all the way down to fiscal year 30, it's a little bit less actually. So when we had our biennial budget that was passed that started in fiscal year 2023-24, they updated the cost sets to fiscal year 22 numbers. When we got the new biennial budget that started this July 2025, they kept the same base cost numbers from 2022. So first, you're using a number that didn't account for any inflation, that they're saying this is what it costs to educate a child, or what we believe the state will give to educate a child. They kept that stagnant without any inflation. To compound that issue, if you look in this chart where it talks about state share percentage, the state share percentage is derived from two main sources of information. One is assessed values of your school district. What are the property values in your school district? And two, it's what's the median income of the people that live in your school district. So both of those things for Southwestern City Schools have gone up in the last several years. So you would think that would be a good thing. Problematically, when values go up in a district like ours, who's not on the 20 mil floor, and that's a whole other conversation. But when you're talking in Franklin County, there's only one district that's on the 20 mil floor, that's Hamilton Schools. Everybody else is not on the 20 mil floor. So the rhetoric is the same and the discussion is the same as we go from district to district in Franklin County. I'll get to that and share that a little bit more soundly in a slide that's coming up. But it's important to know that values go up, millage rates go down, and you collect basically the same amount of property taxes throughout rising assessed values. So if you move forward, if you look at this spreadsheet up here, base costs times state share percentage, you see that percentage going down every year. It was at 52%, 53% in fiscal 25. It's going to go all the way down to 39.4% in fiscal 30. So you take a stagnant number that's not moving for inflation and multiply that by a state share percentage that's declining, the amount of state aid we get per pupil, you can see, is going down. It goes down by almost $1,000 over the next through fiscal 30. The deficit spending obviously gets worse when that happens, and our cash balance gets worse. So these are just, these numbers aren't set in stone. These are conservative projections, but the issue is real. There is an issue with state funding in Ohio, and it's affecting school districts like ours in a pretty hard way because we rely so heavily on state funding. Next slide. And you can stop me at any point in time and ask questions if you want, but I'll leave time at the end for questions as well. So, what are our issues as far as on the expenditure side? We have increasing expenditures. We have competitive job market out there. We want to attract and retain good employees. We know there's a labor shortage, and we need to keep competitive in the market with our wages. What I will say, and that's a big portion of our spend, 80% of our spend comes from salaries and benefits. And that's not different than most school districts around. What I will say is you can see on the slide that we spend less than the state average per pupil. The state average in fiscal year 25 was $17,609 per pupil. Southwestern City Schools spent $16,173 per pupil. That's $1,500 less per pupil that we spend. When you multiply that by 20,000 students, that's a lot of money. We are in the bottom third spending for, I'm just providing facts, bottom third in Franklin County as far as our expenditure per pupil. So we're, below the state average, down in the bottom third in Franklin County. But still, what does that affect? The overall effect, if you have decreasing revenues and increasing expenditures, your cash balance is going to decline over time. So that's the point I want to really drive home, that everybody's understanding what's happening in Southwestern's finances. You can go to the next slide. So what are some of the remedies? What are some things we could do? What we could do, there's a few different options out there. For the decreasing revenues, some of the things we can do is work with our legislators and ask them to fund the Fair School Funding Plan appropriately. Put the right cost sets in there, put some more money in public education. And I've worked with the legislature over the years for many things. They will hear my voice loud and clear about this one for sure. And we'll be working on that because the next biennial budget is once one's set in ink, they're working on the next one. So we really need to get that word out about the Fair School Funding Plan being appropriately and really funded the way it should be done. The other one, it's not as fun as we get it from local funds. Seek voter approval for a property or income tax increase. These are things that, if you've lived in this district for a long time, don't come easily. I will just give you some facts and figures just to kind of get your brain moving. On an income tax, for a earned income tax that would be not subject to anybody who's retired, they wouldn't have to pay this income tax. For every 0.25% of income tax, it would generate roughly $9 million for the district. Property tax, every mill would roughly bring in $5 million per year. As you know, there are many conversations going on right now at the state level about property taxes in general. I mean, are we going to even have property taxes? Are they going to kind of water down the system so much that there's no effective way to raise local dollars? And there's a lot of school districts, especially in Franklin County, that have increased their taxes pretty heartily to provide services that they think their community wants. So these are all things. It's not just, that we raise taxes and do the same old thing all the time. Maybe we raise taxes and do some different and better things. So those are some things to think about. Next slide. So when we're looking at some of the revenue options, I think income tax is kind of self-explanatory. You make an income and you pay a percentage against that. It works the same as a city income tax, but it is an earned income tax that you could go for a traditional, which would include any kind of income. Most school districts go for an earned income tax and leave the seniors alone, which I think is an appropriate thing to do. But there's a lot of confusion about mills and what does a mill even mean. So this is just for reference only, and it's not based on future need, but I talked about one mill generates $5 million in property taxes. We have an assessed value of $5 billion in our entire school district. That's homeowners, that's businesses, and we get a pretty good chunk of money from our businesses. Our number one taxpayer is the casino. Commercial and industrial taxes represent about 35% of the collection we have in overall property taxes. So it's a pretty good size amount. Districts like Bexley, Arlington, they don't have industry, they don't have that same kind of mix. So anytime a businesses don't get to vote on property taxes, but residents do, we're getting a little bang for our buck when we do it that way. But what I want to explain in this is just to show you what a mill even means. So a mill is $35 per year, not per month, per year, per $100,000 in market value. So if you look at my calculations here, you take a market value of a property. If that market value is $100,000, now people say there's no $100,000 homes out there. There probably isn't anymore. But it's just easy math. So if you have 100,000 and you just want to add 200,000, you just double the numbers. So try to keep it simple. So all property in the state of Ohio, these are not specific to Southwestern, these are all properties in the state of Ohio are calculated the same way. If you have a market value of 100,000, the assessed value, that's what you're taxed on. You're taxed on the assessed value. It's 35% of the market value is the assessed value. So a $100,000 property, the taxable amount would be $35,000. 1 mil is $1 per thousand. So 0.001, or what I like to say, if you take $1 per thousand, you just knock off the zeros on that 35,000 and you got $35. 1 mil is $35. This is the basic math to it. I know a lot of people get confused about it and how that works, but this is how it works. I put in a little note there, pre-2013 and post-2013. There used to be something called, or there still is, a rollback. If you're a homeowner and you live in your home, you get in Southwestern for school taxes, you get 12.5% of that paid by the state of Ohio. I get an amount from them. It's called a property tax allocation. I get an amount from them every year that pays 12.5% of the property tax that you've agreed to pay. Now, the state didn't really like when districts or anybody was passing new levies that they had to pay more money based on other people levying taxes. So starting in 2013, they got rid of any rollback on any levies passed after 2013. So you can see pre-2013, that $35, you really as a homeowner would only have to pay $30.63. Now you're going to have to pay the whole $35. Just want to keep everybody on the up and up that we all understand that's how any new levy would be calculated. All right. This is my last slide. There's also some confusion at times, I believe, about millage rates and levy types. First, let's talk about levy types. I color-coded these to try to keep it simple. The blue is the general fund. The general fund is our 5-year forecast. That's the general fund. That's everything in the 5-year forecast is just the general fund. We have other funds like the Bond Retirement Fund or Permanent Improvement Fund. We have federal grant funds. We have state grant funds. We have principals funds. We have all these other funds. Now, a lot of those other ones I just mentioned are pretty small. There's not a lot of money in those, but the main ones are these three. And these are why I prepare a tax budget. I prepare a tax budget every year because these are the three funds that receive taxes. We have a general fund in blue, a bond fund in green, and a permanent improvement fund in purple. The blue one is a general fund. I said it's our operational expenditures. It's all the money that's in the 5-year forecast. All the things in the 5-year forecast, that's where those property taxes go. The green one, I wrote no new millage, bond only to build buildings. The green one is where we've been talking a little bit about the replacement of Grove City and Westland High School. This is where that would occur, in the green fund, where we would issue bonds. It's basically getting a mortgage. We're issuing bonds. Investors buy those bonds. The proceeds of those bonds come to the school district. We use those proceeds to build buildings. That's what a bond fund is, to account for the debt retirement of the buildings that we are building. The purple one, permanent improvement, that was from a levy that was passed in 2005. We passed a 2 mil permanent improvement levy, and that is also in a separate fund. And those dollars are used, we receive about $5 million a year in the permanent improvement fund. And those are to purchase capital items only. So our buses, our roofs, our HVAC systems, parking lots, computer technology, things that are large ticket items that we can, and that permanent improvement fund is really, if you look at our district before we had that fund and now, the parking lots, the curb appeal is much better. We take a good care of our building. Here's what I want to point out though, okay, does everybody understand we have these different tranches of money? This is important as well. We have something called voted mills. We have something that's called inside mills. That's in this top type right up there. So inside mills, you can see we only get inside mills in our general fund. When I say inside mills, there are 10 inside mills that are shared by multiple governmental entities. So we get 3.85 of them. The city of Grove City might get a mill, the county might get a mill, the township might get a mill. So all those things add up, and they can add up to more than 10. So our millage rate for inside mills is 3.85. The average in the state of Ohio is just under 5 mills. So we're a little bit low, but it's because other governmental entities have their mills. Now, do you think if I went to maybe Jackson Township and said, hey, why don't you get rid of your mills and give them to me? What they would say? They would say, no. So I've never asked them. So our 3.85 mills is not going to change. So that's what it is. But what you can see is the inside millage. It doesn't affect our bond, doesn't affect our permanent improvement funds. It only affects our general fund. Voted mills is a whole nother story. You can vote mills in the general fund for general operations. You can vote mills in a bond issue, and you can vote mills in a permanent improvement fund. So these are different places where you can do that, and we've done that in all 3 areas. Here's where it gets confusing to people. You can see in the total in Class 1, Class 1 means agricultural and residential. Rates are different for businesses than they are for residents. We have 61.2 voted mills. We voted 61.2 mills, but there's something called House Bill 920 that was put in the 70s, and as millage rate goes up, or as values go up, millage rate goes down. So although we voted 61.2 mills, we only collect 20.8. So that's a lot. Some would say that if we never put that in place, we probably would have never had to been back to the ballot. We would have just had increases over time as people's property value increased. Now that's all fine and good until last reappraisal when our property values went up 50%. Now, I think if everybody's property taxes went up 50%, people would be losing their mind, and they should lose their mind. That's too much. That did happen throughout the state of Ohio, because out of 600 school districts, about 400 of them are on what's called the 20 mil floor. That's that number I'm showing you, that collection rate, that 20.78 mils. We're close to the floor. There's some protections that have been put in with that with new legislation, but we don't really need to focus on that now. So what happened with 400 school districts being at the 20 mil floor and property values increasing by a lot, there was a lot of school districts. There's one here in Hamilton local that their values went up by 70% and their taxes went up by 70%. That's a big amount. I don't think anybody foresaw that would ever happen. So that's where a lot of the pressure is coming from at a state level, and I understand it. Property taxes should not increase that much. There should be some sort of, in a perfect world, I would say, as values go up, you should only be able to show an increase of something, arbitrary, whatever that amount is, but it shouldn't be 70% for sure, because that puts people in harm's way when they're trying to make ends meet in their own home budget. The other thing I want to point out, I've said this before too, that's important to understand about property taxes. If our average went up by 50%, but my home went up at 75% in value versus the average, my property taxes are going to go up. If the average value went up 50% and my house goes up 25%, it still went up quite a bit, 25%. Guess what happens to my property taxes? My property taxes go down. Nobody believes me when I say that, but I can pull up a million examples on the auditor's website and show you, here's what they paid in property taxes to Southwestern last year, and here's what they're paying this year, and it's less. That's reappraisal is more about who pays versus what the total amount paid is. So they say, hey, it's fair that your value went up more, you should be paying a little bit more, this person should be paying a little bit less. And the school district, what we receive is that roughly that same amount of money. In full disclosure, where we do get a little increase is that inside millage. You can see that inside millage is 3.85, and there's no change in that. So we get a little bit of growth from that, but it's not significant. So those things, I think. I tried to explain this in a way that really makes sense. Hopefully this chart is something that you can look at and make some sense of it. Hopefully it's something that you can resonate on. But I would say, some of the things that have been going on in the school district and in the state, there's going to have to be some reckoning either with our revenues or our expenditures and how we move forward in the future. Thankfully, we do have some time. I'm not telling you this that, hey, we're in trouble right now. We got to get moving on something. But we do have to start thinking about revenues and expenditures and how we manage the funds that we have. So I will be doing another update in May, but I wanted to provide this information to you now so you can get a clear picture of kind of where we're heading. So I will offer up any questions that anybody has.
My question was, if a magic cloud opened up and state funding dropped down and gave us a great magic pot of money, even if that happens and it goes in our favor, would we be smart still to put some form, like some form of levy on the ballot? How does would that help us more? That we get this pot of money, and if we do a operating, how could that help us even increase our financial growth?
I think hopefully any increase in taxes like that would include, sustained programming or even some new and additional programming. I think that's the mindset to be in. Without change from the state, it's going to be difficult because of the amounts. I think we're going to need a little bit of both, to be honest with you.
I just wanted to say, when you mentioned working with legislators, when I was on one of the PTA meetings last month, they had expressed interest in coming up with a team of parents maybe that were willing to work with the board. And so maybe we need to talk about, they had asked if we were considering putting in a legislative liaison. So maybe that's something we need to talk about. Not right now necessarily, but.
And I will say those people get tired of hearing from people like me sometimes. So when they hear from just the regular public, that does have a lot of weight to it for sure.
Mr. Garside, can you explain the different, I know you talked about the bond funds and different improvements and things like that. And I know that we had this conversation before, and I was hoping that you could share why we don't continually come to folks for those.
So in a perfect world, you would be coming back to voters with small increments, probably. That would probably make sense. There's actually some levies out there that are designed that way. It's an incremental levy. So you pass a certain amount right now, and for the next 3 years, it incrementally goes up a little bit to kind of, for one, it kind of helps with the taxpayer that they're not paying that big bill all at once. And two, you're getting a little bit of growth versus just, once you pass it, that's all you get.
And do other districts do that? Is that
We-
a regular?
I think the one in the area that has done it most successfully has been Worthington Schools. They've done incremental taxes for probably the last 3, maybe. Yeah, so it is an option. There's different options. Like I said, there's an option for an income tax. There's options for, our levies are all permanent. The general fund levies we've passed are all permanent in nature. There are some that are like 5-year emergency operating. They've changed some of the rules on what kind you can pass anymore and how they kind of work with the 20 mil floor. So there are options out there. There's one, we talked about this the other day, the no new millage. No new millage just means that you're going to pay the same amount of mills you're paying today that you were before it was passed. I've said this, I don't hold back. If you're going for a no new millage and it doesn't pass, people's taxes will go down slightly, because that you're collecting the mills to pay off the debt. The reason why we can do a no new mill possibly sometime this year is that there will be a little bit of millage rolling off of our books. You can see right now we're only collecting 3.65 anyway, so it's not a lot. But if we can keep everybody paying 3.65, we can leverage 50% from the state, and they're going to pay the same amount they've been paying. So there's some positives in how do you package that. Permanent improvements is also subject to the reduction factors. You can see we passed it at 2 mills, and now it's at roughly 1 mill. I said we collect $5 million a year. If that didn't go down, we'd be collecting $10 million a year. Now, yeah, there's not a perfect scenario on how to set up property taxes, especially
Like that constant stream of revenue.
Yes, that constant stream of revenue. And I think there's voter fatigue too. I think our public's been very appreciative that we have not been on the ballot since 2009 for any new additional taxes. I'm very happy we've been able to do that, and I think it's been a big selling point for our school district that we've been fiscally responsible to do so. As I said, you look around the Outer Belt, you're not going to find a district like ours.
Now we're in this deficit spending situation, and state funding's crazy, and now what? So then
I would say that the biggest reason is the state funding has gone down to cause us to deficit spend.
the 3.65 you're talking about that's going to fall off. You said
Yes.
it's gonna, when's that?
Not all of it. Not all of it. We will have some of that fall off. Maybe a mill, maybe 1 mill would fall off.
When's that falling off?
That would fall off at the end of this calendar year.
At the end of this actual calendar year, not fiscal year. So 26, that
Yes.
falls off, and then that's why you're increasing the.
That's why if the board decides, we could do a no new millage and keep it at the 3.65. Also leverage the state's money. 50% of the money would come from them, and we could, build one high school and get another one free.
And when you're talking about these things, when are you thinking these things? Are you thinking like November 26, November 27?
November of 26 for the no new millage.
A no new millage.
And then we'd have to probably looking at 2028, somewhere in there, to just, if things kind of go down the path they're going, we'd have to look at something like that.
And then you said the 7.4 mil that you passed back in 2009, that fell off when? Or is that
Never
still-
falls off.
So it's still there.
It's still there.
So you want to add,
But you can see that 7.4 is part of the 61.2.
Mm-hmm.
We only collect 20.8. It's already gone
Right.
down by a lot.
and so that's what.
Yeah. We don't ever collect what we never, to be honest, we never collected 7.4 mils on that first.
I don't understand why you didn't.
Because the values went up and then they base it on the value, so.
So even though you
We
passed. the
passed 7.4
7.4,
with the first year we hit it was 7.1. And then guess what happened? When the values went crashing down in 2011, there was nowhere for that. You can only go up to the voted amount. So we lost a lot of money on that.
Okay.
Yeah. It goes both ways. Values go down, millage rate goes up. But it only can go up as far as what you voted for.
And then bonds over levy, like a bond would be different.
A
than
bond is in the
levy.
green. A bond issue can only be used to create a revenue stream by selling bonds, use the proceeds of those bonds to do construction.
And that also would be on the ballot.
That has to be on the ballot.
Right. And you're not talking about doing something like that anytime soon.
That one would be the no new millage 2026.
That's where the no new millage is.
Yes.
And that one is the bonds. Okay,
Yes.
sorry. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in for sure.
Yeah.
Can I ask, in terms of fair school funding,
Yes,
we're still on 2022
base cost.
base cost. When we engage our legislators in regards to fair school funding, what kind of conversations can we have or should we have discussing costs when it comes to not just general education, but special education, different programs, things that we provide all of our students? Those costs keep going up as well. What do you think? Is that another discussion, or is that,
Well, yeah, it is
How-
a
how are
discussion, and
they-
we do get.
how do they judge or determine what funding those special resources need?
That's a very good point. And what they do in the formula, and it's designed this way, is that you have a different weight depending on the disability. So if a regular student is 1, a disabled student might be 2.5. But the problem is you still that state share index, or that state share percentage is still that multiplier. So yeah, they're going to say it's going to cost us 2.5 times more, but then you multiply that by, you're only going to get 40% of it. You're back in the same boat again. That's the problem. The formula, if it's funded correctly, really does have a lot of common sense to it. And but you have to be honest and say, yes, we've had inflation. Yes, people deserve raises. Yes, we have challenges that we have, things that need purchased. So the story is, I think the story is one, a common sense story you can have with a legislator. But they will come back at you with those kind of things. Well, we put a lot more money in that, but did you really?
Right. Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Hugh, I'm going to ask this question that is always asked. Is it a good thing or a bad thing that we always say we spend less per pupil?
I've heard it said that people thought I was saying it was a good thing. I'm just saying that we're good stewards of our money. But what I would say is when people ask me, I do a lot of, we have employees that are working on their administrative licenses, and they come to me and they have a bevy of questions. But the one is, what's the hardest part of your job? And I tell them the hardest part of my job is knowing that there's needs out there that would be good for students that we just can't afford to do. That's the hardest part of my job, because we do have needs. There's counselors, there's social services, there's special education services. There's a lot of things that we're meeting the letter of the law and we're doing the best we can, but we are definitely lean.
And so you've shown those needs, right? Like you were saying how they give money based off needs.
They do, but they don't give the full amount of money.
Full amount of.
Yeah, they never give us the full amount because of that state share percentage number that I mentioned.
Mentioned earlier.
And that one keeps going down. Based on, it's kind of a bad word down at the State House, but it's called phantom revenue. What it means is if your values are going up, they're assuming we're getting more property taxes. That's a phantom revenue. We're not really getting. If you have a multiplier, if you're looking at value, increasing values, meaning the state doesn't have to pay as much, that's what's termed as a phantom revenue. We're not getting that revenue. We're just not.
And like you said, the going to the ballot for these sorts of things are very common in most districts and
This hasn't been for us.
right. You've managed so many things. And I know lots of things have changed since before and what we can and can't do as a district and as board members and everything, right? So I think that conversation probably happened before bringing more folks on board just to make sure we're not overstepping and things like that. But it's always great to have folks involved in advocating.
Sure.
Awesome. And you're going to do this again in May?
Yes, I'm going to do this again in May. I'll have good numbers from property taxes where those have come in. I mean, obviously have a good handle where I think they should be.
Yeah.
But I am concerned about delinquencies, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't bode well with when you're saying, hey, let's talk about a possible new property tax when
Right.
people are having delinquencies. So that's
When would when would the no new millage conversation have to happen to put it on in November?
June 2026.
So probably continuous conversations and
Yes.
then in May, it'll probably be like all right, time to make decisions.
Correct.
And then June put it on.
Yes.
So June is the.
That's a good question, yes. June is kind of the deadline that we need to have some resolution to proceed, resolution of necessity, then resolution to proceed.
Right. So is there something to say, like, can you say, like, unless that money falls from the sky, like, this is going to go on, like, we need to talk about this in June? Or is this, can you not say that yet? You have to kind of wait and see what happens with the numbers that just are developing this February?
I think the bond issue, the no new millage bond issue is a little, there's so many advantages to it based on
It could be silly not to do it.
it'd be kind of silly not to do it. That's my opinion. We have some older Grove City and Westland high schools with no windows.
And that's what this is essentially
Costs.
for, right? Like you
Yes.
said, you've got the permanent improvement going. This is essentially, because of the last two, because the 2009's levy was to redo all of the schools, right? And
2009 was just for operating expenses.
just for operating expenses, and then
So
you've
we
been
did
able to
it.
do
We
bills.
did one no new millage in 2012.
Okay, that's
We
right.
did another one in 2018. 2012 built the elementaries
That's right. 2012.
in Franklin Heights High School.
Right.
2018 built the new middle schools and an improvement to Jackson. So we were able to do that. As you can see, we have 7 mills of voted bond millage, but we only collect 3.65. So even though it was a no new millage, our millage rate went down. When we passed the last one in 2018, our bond millage rate was 6.5 mils. Currently, it's 3.65. So we've gone down
Okay.
even since that,
So
yes.
it's been on the ballot. We just haven't done the general fund.
The general.
We just have not done the general fund since 2009.
Okay. But we've done,
Bond issues, that's it.
okay.
That's it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, good questions, though. That's why I try to color code it, made it look like, okay, this is this, this is this.
Awesome. All right.
Any other questions? Thank you, Hugh.
Yeah, and if anybody, you guys want to call and ask me questions about it, I know it's, for me, I deal with this stuff all the time, but it's really not counterintuitive, so I'm happy to answer questions that you have as we go along. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now moving along, I am Dr. Dillon for you tonight. We're going to move to fiscal and operations, and we only have actually one item under this area. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the 5-year forecast as presented. So I move that forward for approval. Can I get a second?
Second, Alkire.
Any additional discussion?
Just small question. So it's okay to, now that we just had that other lovely conversation, put other thoughts in my head. So it's okay to approve this forecast, even though it does have like a deficit spending in it. Like we're just approving that.
Yes, it's okay to approve it. yes.
Okay. All right. All good.
Any other additional questions? Okay, hearing none, roll call.
Ms. Alcar,
Yes.
Ms. D'Angelo Steele,
Yes.
Ms. Liskini,
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes. Now we are going to move to items for action under personnel, and I'm going to turn it over to Vice President Julie Liskini.
Thank you, President Peterson. Tonight, under Human Resources, there are 5 action items under Personnel involving 7 persons, 3 certificated employments, and 4 classified changes in employment. Just wanted to make note that it is job fair season. We will be at Cedarville, Central State, and Ohio University this week, University of Dayton, Capital, and Otterbein the first week of March, and finally Ohio Dominican the second week of March. Also wanted to mention, as always, we are actively hiring. The biggest challenge right now is substitute aides and substitute custodians to help us get us through to the end of the year. So if you know of anybody, please encourage them to apply. We really need preschool and special education aides, and you can go to the career tab at swcsd.us for that information. After going through these, I move them for approval.
Can I get a second?
Second, D'Angelo Steele.
Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Ms. Liskini,
Yes.
Ms. D'Angelo Steele,
Yes.
Ms. Alcar,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes. Is that one under Julie? I want to pass it to you for the.
Yes.
I'm going to pass this area back off to Vice President Julie Liskini for our condolence.
This evening, we have a message of condolences for a staff member. Aubrey B. Rodriguez. Ms. Rodriguez began her employment in the Southwestern City Schools on August 20th, 2018, as a science teacher at Franklin Heights High School. During her service at Franklin Heights High School, she taught biology and advanced science classes for college credit. Aubrey also served as an advisor for Key Club and Diversity Club. In recognition and appreciation of her service to the students and staff of our district, a motion is in order by the Board of Education expressing deepest sympathy to the family, friends, and students of Aubrey Rodriguez, who passed away on February 21st, 2026.
Need a second.
Can I get a second?
Second, D'Angelo Steele.
Any additional thoughts? These are tough ones, and this one is even more tougher. Can I get roll call?
Ms. Liskini,
Yes.
Ms. D'Angelo Steele,
Yes.
Ms. Alcar,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes. Now moving along, we're going to move to items for discussion. I do have an item for discussion. We need to decide our location for our board meetings for either the next few months or the rest of the year, but we gotta determine that. I do have a recommendation that I think we should definitely move March probably back to the DSC since we only have one meeting that month due to spring break being in it. But I am open to board discussion if anyone feels different on the other months. Next couple months will be pretty light in attendance, so we may be fine using the DSC for the remainder of those. I know when we start getting into the spring, there is award ceremonies and recognition events and things that take place in this room space. So anytime we can give the Career Academy their space for those purposes, I try to take that into consideration. But that is one item. Any additional topics about the meeting location?
I agree. I just know it's going to be busy here. We've, lists of events they have going on, and I think we're fine to be at the DSC for the foreseeable future unless something comes up.
I'm fine with the DSC. I think when we do recognitions, retirements,
Yes,
that we need a bigger space, so this would be
yes.
the space to do that in.
When's that, November?
Is that,
November, December, Mr. Dabo? Oh, Jordan. Jordan, it's in June?
I was just about to say, it's in June. It was warm.
Yeah, it was warm.
It was warm. I remember it was warm outside. We weren't in winter clothes. I
So
think it's in June.
June's meeting,
So
the first meeting of the month or the second meeting?
it's only one meeting.
In June 2026, it says,
You got two.
We have two?
it says on the 8th and the 29th.
Maybe I'm thinking of July for the,
Yeah, July, we just have one.
July's the one.
so it should be the
First.
first.
June 8th.
So it sounds like we agreed that March till June, the first meeting of June is at the, no, I'm sorry. March through May, we're going to do at DSC. First meeting of June will be here at the Career Academy to accommodate for our staff recognitions. I know their retirements. July is only one. I think we should kick that one back to DSC because that's July 10th.
And while we're talking about those, so the fiscal year is the same, just your finances, every 3-year forecast is. So you
It's
still
always-
in,
It's always July 1 to June 30th.
okay,
Yes.
that doesn't change. All right. Because that's the main thing in July, the July meeting there,
Yes.
fiscal year. All right. That's only, well, that's only a week after. Why is there a meeting on July 29th and then we come back 10 days?
June
June
20th.
29th. So June 29th, we have a meeting and then we come back on that's fine.
July 9th is,
July 9th.
there's a deadline.
That's the
with
deadline for
Right.
hiring. That's why we
Right.
we keep that one.
9 days away.
And the end of June one is so I can close the fiscal books.
That's right.
Yep,
Okay. I
yep.
knew there was something
And
with
it
that
used to
one.
be early in the
It used to
morning.
be
like
early.
4 in the
Right, right,
morning.
right. I knew there was something with that one.
Can't keep track.
And
Don't look
then,
that far ahead. Don't look-
okay, so then we got to July.
We got to July.
We got to July. Ask us in July what we think about the next school year. We'll go to July.
Right, because nothing will. Never mind. There's
Yeah, and then in July we can decide August back to school.
Yep.
Okay. Other items for discussion. Did everyone receive the email? It was like the summary of our last meeting, our goals, themes. Continue to look at that. I know we are one board member down tonight, so we don't have to go in depth protocols for the school system. Can I get a motion?
So move, Liskini.
Can I get a second?
Second, Alkire.
I assume there is no questions for the reason we're going in this. Roll call.
Ms. Liskini,
Yes.
Mrs. Alkire,
Yes.
Mrs. D'Angelo Steele,
yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes. I do not expect any additional actions after our executive session, so please feel free to head home and enjoy the rest of your evening and be safe. So I wanted to make sure I said that so that you are not sitting here waiting, but if you would like to wait for us to return, you may.